Recently, I asked the guy what macros are, and he couldn't answer. That's what most guys over 40 are like. They just don't understand nutrition to a deeper level. They certainly will lift, they'll do cardio, they'll, in quotations, diet, but they still don't understand how to build a balanced meal and understand the difference between the type of carbs that they should be eating or maybe should be staying away from. I sat down with Aesha Tahir on her 9 to 5 wellness podcast to fix that. We broke down what macros are in plain, simple, easy to understand conversation, what each does, how to build your plate in a balanced manner that's going to burn belly fat, and how to eat around your workouts as well. This conversation was so good and it gave real answers. I thought I'd just bring it over here. So I want to introduce you to Aisha and our wonderful conversations on macros for episode 128 of Driven for Health. This is Coach Brian Prana. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys? And today I have a guest who is going to help us understand macros. So macronutrients is something that is a foundational aspect of nutrition, and a lot of people aren't sure what is the right way to go about them. Should we just give up on carbs? Should we just eat fat? Should we just give up on fat altogether? Like, what is going on over there? I get so many DMs, and I was like, you know what? I need some help in this department myself. So I have Coach Brian Pirana with me today, and he's going to be able to break it down into very simple steps for us and help us understand what are macros. Because I know that a lot of us, like including me sometimes, we are tired of restrictive fad diet, which can end up leaving you burned out. They're not sustainable, right? So I was like, okay, it is time to learn about macronutrients and how balancing them can actually help us not only rev up our metabolism and fuel our workout, but also not bored of the same old every day. So welcome to the pod, Brian.
You mean macros aren't just some buzzword that's getting thrown around these days? They're actually foundational to nutrition and eating real food?
Yeah, right? We all think that, okay, there's a lot of, and I don't blame our listeners and viewers because there's so much confusion out there, especially when it comes to nutrition. We are all kind of confused because one day we are like talking about, okay, just ditch the carbs. The other day we are like, ditch the fats. And then the third, it's like, okay, just eat protein. And we all know there's a balance. So let's talk about it. What are macros? What are we talking about? Someone who has heard the term everywhere on TikTok and other social media platforms, but they're like, I have no idea what macros are.
Macros aren't related to math, the macro, or photography. They're related to nutrition. Macro is a shorthand for macronutrients because that's a really long word to write out all the time. So we shortened it to macros, and that simply is protein, carbs, fats. Those are the three things that primarily make up food that we eat and the calories that are in the food that we eat. So that's it. Just protein, carbs, fats.
Yes. Protein, carbs, and fat. Okay. And I think of macros as three main building blocks of our food because they're all serving a different purpose. So let's go a little bit deeper. I want to know why is protein important? Why are carbs important? Why fat?
So for really quick, helping you understand what each of these does, proteins help build and recover your body or muscles. And protein has a lot of different functions in the body, especially at a cellular level. Probably millions of things that need to go on in the body. But we can think about muscles themselves, right? The second one is carbs. That's for energy. We need energy. Just like a car needs gasoline to drive, our body runs off carbohydrates and they get stored in your muscle. And the energy can also get stored as body fat. And then lastly, we have the fat macro. Fat are generally easy to understand for hormonal health, like vitamin D, A, B, all these type of things to help with our body to function properly. And that's the easiest way to think of those three.
Love all those, components of the protein, carbs, and fat. And I also want to highlight and add to the fats a little bit because we don't realize it often, but fats are also the long lasting energy reserves. Your brain functions on fat, like
Yes.
70% of the fat in your body is used by your brain as fuel. And then for distance runners like ultra marathoners, they're primarily relying on fat metabolism and fat as a fuel.
The
Well,
way, yeah, definitely in the long, long distance stuff.
yeah. And so I just wanted to add to that, carbs are immediate source of fuel, and then fats are the longer lasting
Yeah.
fuel. So they're
And
both
let's
very,
get
very
back
important.
of say in the modern society, we have food everywhere, always, right? We can just buy. I think we referenced on our last time we were on. You could go buy 100,000 calories within 5 miles of your house, and it'd be relatively pretty cheap. Whereas back 10,000 years ago, you needed some body fat to live and to be able to sustain energy in life because it was really hard to come by 100,000 calories.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Going back to the caveman days, of course, that's what our hunter gatherers, our ancestors were relying on. Okay. I'm so glad that you actually brought in calories. What is the difference between calories and macros and when people are trying to track? Like, the thing is, like, everybody's like confused here. Like, well, but I thought I was supposed to track my calories and not macros. Like, what do I do now?
Right.
What's the difference?
Well, no matter what, I always tell people they have to be some level of calorie aware. Calories are how humans have defined what is the energy that is in the food that you're eating. Simply put, it could be called kilocalories or kilojoules. We don't need to get into that type of science. It's just calories. So this apple holds 100 calories in it. Well, then the next layer of the onion, I guess you should have just used an onion as an example, but the next layer down is macronutrients. And an apple has carbs. No, it doesn't really have fat or protein. So in a sense, an apple generally is just 25 carbohydrates if it's 100 calories, because let's break down simple math. And this is how you understand where the connection of calories and macros fit together. 4 calories per 1 gram of protein, 4 calories per 1 gram of carb, and we'll get both hands out there, 9 calories per 1 gram of fat. And that is calorie and macro 101. So if you understand those three conversions, you can read a nutrition label and have a full understanding of what's actually in this food, not the percentages based off of a 2,000 calorie diet or any of that stuff. You can just literally look and see an apple has 25 carbs in it at 100 calories. And for a typical size apple, this is a carb. And then you can then determine where that fits into your day based on your calorie needs, based on how many, say, if you wanted to be into tracking, how many carbs you have to allotted for the day, or maybe it's a good snack because it's a Mother Nature single serving snack pack, self contained. It's great.
If you eat an apple with the skin on, it has a lot of fiber. So fiber is always a
Yes.
good complex carbohydrate to have, and it's healthy. It's a prebiotic for your gut too. I love how you just differentiated it because I feel like sometimes even I have a hard time. But lately I've started explaining this to my clients that, calories focus on quantity of energy.
Yeah.
So it's if you think about a budget, we all budget our finances, right? So
Right.
it's the overall budget, right? Calories.
Yep.
But then tracking macros is the quality of energy. So the
Agree.
budget categories, right? If are you putting it towards retirement, which would be probably protein because building muscle mass, and
Right.
or you're putting it towards immediate expenses, which are fat and carbohydrates mostly.
Yep.
So that's great.
Real quick on this, I want to expand
Yeah.
on it because you just gave me a layup.
Yeah, yeah,
We
go ahead.
have everyone understands the currency of money, right? The dollars, cents. We understand to the basics of how to spend it, how to save it. We all love spending it more than we budget.
Oh, no, you,
That's
you were not supposed to give that away.
that's for another podcast.
Yeah.
But so we understand that we don't need to get into the economics or finances and all this other type of stuff, but we all understand basic concepts of spending and saving money and all that. Food is just the currency of food is calories, protein, carbs, and fats. Once you understand what is in the food that you're eating, how much of a calorie budget you're allowed to have in a day, and where to divvy it up between the protein, the carbs, and the fats, you become food calorie macro literate and you understand how to then control food, even just by looking at it. And say tracking calories and macros, whenever I do it with anyone, is a transferable skill for long term understanding of how to maintain your body weight. Just like making sure you have money for retirement. We want to make sure that we're saving enough and making wise investments, at the very least, the S&P, right? And then we can then accumulate wealth over time. And for our body, wealth is health. And we want to make sure that we're not trying to save calories on our waistline because that does not equal poor health. And we are no shortage of food because it's everywhere and always around us. So we have to have a heightened awareness around what food we pick, the people that we're around, the environments that we're in, the social peer pressure type things, your strengths and weaknesses around food. And those are just a very few things that just came off the top of my head to consider when food is, because food is fun, it's happy, it's sadness, it's anger, it's joy, it's all sorts of this range of emotion that humans have, and we have to control it on some level so that you don't gain weight tomorrow and then you have to work harder tomorrow to get what you ate today off your body.
I love the analogy here to currency and spending because I think you're right. Most of us, just to live and to take care of ourselves and our families, we have to be aware of how we spend money and or budgeting and the balance system.
Right.
So, yeah, the same rules kind of apply to nutrition too and what we eat. I do want to build up on this because I think it's such a great analogy here. What is the balanced ratio of these three nutrients, which is going to be very beneficial for long term health than restriction? Is there something that you share with your clients?
Definitely. If you are tracking macros, a really good starting place is 40, 30, 30. 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat. That gives you a very balanced meal across the day at 3 or 4 meals in a day. And you can thoroughly enjoy your food choices in the right portions. Now, certainly we can manipulate them a little bit up and down, a little bit more carbs if you move a lot or you're very active, a little less carbs if you have more sedentary lifestyle, a little bit more protein if you really enjoy protein, work out a lot or move your body a lot, and maybe a little bit less if you, again, just don't enjoy protein. Not everyone enjoys eating a 10-ounce steak or a big giant chicken breast always. And same thing with fat. So we can play with these within 5, maybe 10% of those starting numbers. And whenever I'm working with someone, my goal is to create awareness around calories first, help them start to understand what the, in quotations, macros are of these, whether we're tracking food or not. They still have to understand to a certain degree what is in the food that you eat on a normal, regular basis, so you can identify what that food is and how it's going to need to be combined with other food to create a balanced meal of some protein, some starch, and a lot of vegetables, mainly, or a piece of fruit, as an example of building an ideal plate.
Love this explanation. So true. And I work off of the same break up as well.
Mm.
Yeah. And then we can always, of course, depending on like someone who's a bodybuilder, of course, they're going to
Yeah.
need a little more protein, a little more fat, a little less carbs. Someone who's a distance runner, we will switch it around where they need a little more carbs. There's
A
also,
range. And no human is alike. And even in your lifetime, you might have different needs for different seasons of life as well. And it's okay. Not every day is going to be, in quotations, perfect. And if you have a low protein day, that doesn't mean that you failed or you had a high sugar day because there was sweets, treats, and fun at Halloween. It's just we again have to have what I call MBF, moderation, balance, flexibility built in, but the mean overall average over time, not just the time that you're awake, people. Like, I have a fasting window. Okay, that's great that you only eat in a 4 or 8 hour time frame, but there are scientific studies that show that eating in a 12-hour time frame will still produce the same results. So why are you starving all day to then have to wait to eat or something? And oh yeah, you worked out at 6 a.m. and you're going to have your first meal at 1. Sport Nutrition 101 says that you should fuel your workout. So why are we not eating right after a workout to replenish the body? And why are you waiting till 1? It doesn't make sense. And once you get educated and understand calorie awareness and a better understanding of how it fits into your day-to-day life, then all of a sudden, yeah, I was always hangry coming into lunch, and people were trying to avoid me at lunchtime meetings because they knew I needed food and they didn't want to tell me.
you are speaking to the choir over here. And yeah, I think what you said, and I want to summarize it real
Yeah.
quick about the nutrition around the workouts. I really think we should have another Instagram live on timing around your work,
Okay.
the nutrition timing around workouts, because that's my biggest pet peeve with everyone who I've worked with. Well, there's a place and time for fasted workouts. For some people, it works, but there's a lot of research that shows like who it doesn't work for.
Yeah.
For women, it doesn't work for many different reasons because we have high cortisol levels. Then on top of it, when people don't eat within that 30-minute to a 60-minute window after workout, now you're breaking down more muscle. You just broke down muscle in the gym and or on the road, whatever mode of exercise you had. And now you're breaking down more muscle. So because your muscles are looking for protein because they have this,
And
and carbs, because we have this mechanism inside our bodies after workout, which is called muscle protein synthesis that is active at that time. And it's looking for amino acids to build those muscle fibers up again. And if you're not eating, I'm like, you do realize that you're breaking your bone and muscle both to get those nutrients.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
We'll throw an analogy out here. Say we're going to wash a car. We take the sponge, dip it in the water, pull it out, and we start washing the water, and then all the water starts to drip out of it. That's the same thing as a workout. Your body is the sponge. Water is the energy in your body that you're squeezing out through flexing muscles and running. And at the end, we want to put the sponge back in the water, not just let it out in the sun to dry up. And that's a good analogy for your body, is that you're making it more stressful on your body if you don't have good food timing, especially if you have a hard workout. If your workout, you go in and it's not as hard, say a 5 out of 10 instead of 7, 8, 9 out of 10, then you could probably make it 2 hours without that being a big deal. But if it's robust and you're lifting heavy, doing the things like CrossFit, you should be eating within 30 to 60 minutes and have that as part of your nutritional strategy so that you feel better immediately after the workout. You can just get right back up and get going. It's like getting the water back in the sponge and you're rejuvenated, because sponges need water. They're best used that way, not dry sponges. And then you also then forego later challenges with more hunger or hanger and cravings and binging and all this stuff, because you just were more planned and you put something in your mouth that worked for that.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Okay. So to wrap it up, I want to leave our listeners with an important tip, because again, this is one of the questions that keeps coming to me with the direct messages people send me on Instagram and LinkedIn, a lot of people are hesitant to go the macro tracking route because they feel like that it overwhelms them. They're like, I don't want to constantly count and I don't want to become obsessive with my tracking. I mean, I have a life to live and food is something I enjoy. I don't want to stop enjoying it.
Right.
So, what can someone who feels like this do? How can they track macros in an easy way and feel like that they're fueling their body and also keeping their metabolism healthy?
Right. I love this question. In my very first call with every client, I give them a choice. We have two paths. We have a fork in the road. Are we going to focus on the basic components and tenets of eating healthier, better food choices, practicing portion control, have balanced meals, eating 3 to 4 times at 3 to 5 hour time frames? That's the basis of a good quality, healthy body weight, maintaining energy. That I gave you my secret. And Aisha would agree. That's the secret. That's how you do it.
Yes.
Right? Never eating too many calories and making sure you're full enough until you eat again. That's the tenet.
Absolutely.
So we have that path. The other path is, hey, do you want to track? And then I also quantify, have you ever tracked? Have you ever had experience with it? And because I need to understand what they think of tracking as well. Tracking to me is a tool in the nutritional toolbox that we can use to help better understand calories, then macros, protein, carbs, and fats, and then proper portions of these foods and how they combine and interact with other foods at a singular meal, like breakfast, and then across the day, like into dinner or 9, 10 o'clock at night. Because if you understand calories and macros and proper portions of the food, you can eat right before you go to bed and you can be stuffed all day long and still accomplish a calorie deficit to help lose weight and win. Now, it also depends on where this person is at. Usually, and probably in your case too, someone is coming to me because they are overweight or they have bad blood panels or they are unhappy with how their energy or how they look, feel, clothes. The list goes on, right? They're worried about in the 40s and 50s. Now they're starting to worry about, hey, I actually want to have a quality life in 20 years because that's really close now. And if they don't have the skill sets around how to manage food and it shows up in their body, whether they're overweight or they're in a disease like state, diabetes, cholesterol, blood pressure, then they may need to spend more time learning this. And we just have to do it in the easiest way possible. I always tell people, let's approach it with curiosity. What is in the food that I'm eating? Not, "Oh, I have to sit down and type this thing in and weigh it." Yeah, it's going to be work. But you just spent 15 years gaining 20 plus pounds and your A1C is now your doctor's trying to put you on meds for diabetes. So you tell me, we need to slow down to be able to then understand how to properly feed and fuel yourself. And tracking is the fastest, easiest way to do it. And we'll do it in a fun way so that you actually learn what is in the food and you still can have sweets and treats. But then we're also going to look for alternatives to those. And we're going to find, how can I fit this in? Because say 4th of July is around the corner here. And I want the red, white, and blue popsicle or whatever, the rocket pop, right? And okay, cool. That is going to be 150 calories of straight carbs and sugar. How does that fit with the rest of that meal in that time? You can't just go down the buffet and hit the potato salads and the bread rolls and have 2 hamburgers and hot dogs and all this stuff. It's too much because those are all high calorie, fatty foods and high carb foods that will move you in the wrong direction. So that ends up being it. So we start at the easiest, and it could just be tracking calories the first couple of days. It could be, hey, we're just going to track whatever you think is protein. Let's plug that in. Or it could be, we just need to do a deep dive in, and you just need to have grace, patience, and start tracking everything that you eat, whether it's on the forbidden food list that you think there is one or not. And we move from there so that we acknowledge what you're eating, understand the calorie ramifications or how much you actually ate and what is the composition of the food, the protein, the carbs and fats, and even going back to the ratio. And once we do that, usually it takes for me, if I'm working with someone 1 to 2 weeks, it's like they took a college level nutrition class. So like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing the matrix now. I can understand calories, protein, carbs, fats significantly better. Whereas if they do it by themselves, it could be really challenging or frustrating or any other adjective that fills in the gap there.
Absolutely. I just love how you just broke it down because you know what? I think it's a tool in the toolbox, which is
Yep.
so important because a lot of us, we have been living our lives never learning this. I was just going to say, like the home economics course that I took, I was never taught macros.
Just
So,
they had you bake a cake, right?
yeah,
Which is
exactly. I was making pancakes and cakes,
right.
which I guess, well, that's a different story about the
Agreed. And me
macros.
too, because I was in home ec too. I remember.
Yeah. So, that being said, though, even when I started my journey, health journey, I started tracking my macros. And just like you said, it takes only 2 to 3 weeks. And it's eye opening to understand like what nutrition can be so simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yes, the early phase is a little bit cumbersome. You have to get used to it. It's something new to do. But once you get used to it, you're like, oh my goodness, my life is so simplified. And once you
Yeah.
start seeing results, then you're hooked. Like, this is it.
Yeah. And results don't come first, people. The actions to lead to results come first. Results.
Yes,
Motivation
actions
comes
lead to
second.
results.
Mm.
Exactly. Actions lead to results. Thanks for mentioning that. These were a few questions that just kept coming in my DMs. And I was like, let's break it down because Coach Brian is so great at talking about nutrition.
Ugh.
So thanks for joining us today.
I'm super happy to help. I explain this to everyone pretty much every day for the last 15 years. And my job is to figure out how can I easily break it down so that this person understands it in the fastest, easiest way so they can take action and get results. Because I can't make it complicated. And I tried to, even in our explanations today in our conversation, how do I keep it simple? Because simple as easy gets done. If it even has, it goes what from third grade language, reading language to eighth grade reading language, you've lost a lot of people in that different type of words or structures of words or sentences. So it's simple, easy. What can I get this person to do that moves them toward their health goals? And that's it.
Yeah. Yes. And it's a really great tool to have, which can actually move you in the right direction very fast once you get a hang of it. And please reach out to Coach Brian. He's always there to help you guys.
And one
Please
more
reach
thing
out.
here for a tool to track. I'm a big fan of starting off with chronometer. It's free. It has a lot of free features in it. And they all do the same thing, but you do not need to pay for a subscription. And also, when we're signing up, it's going to ask you all these questions and it'll do its best to pair you up. And I think probably with AI, it's a lot better at initially getting you started. But let's not pay attention to whatever that tells you to do. How about we spend 3 to 5 days just tracking what you are eating and sure, make better choices, practice portion control, move in a healthier direction. So as soon as you understand that and you're like, oh, okay. Then you start seeing how many calories I want because I need that a level of awareness to then start creating more motivation.
Absolutely. I love this tool too. I also want to add another tool. I think maybe it's a little old school now, but my Fitness Pal is also very
Yeah,
good
totally.
and it's free. Same concept. Everything is same. Just a
Yeah.
tool to use
Do
to
the
track.
lose it, macro factor,
Yeah.
Magnet
There's so
diary.
many out there now. Yep.
Yes. That
Absolutely.
AI
Absolutely.
food thing or whatever. I'm sure that's the name of one too.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a good name, actually. Let's create one, Brian. Thank you so much again for
Yeah.
joining us. And thank you, everyone.
I hope that you were able to understand how I explain macros. I really try to go out of my way, make it as simple and easy as possible. I hope that then you can take this information and actually do something with it around your health to improve it, losing weight, improving your blood panels, all those things, because it can be simple as food is just calories, protein, carbs, and fats. You don't have to think of being is in quote healthy or not. I mean, literally ask 10 people what's healthy and they'll tell you 10 different answers. So that's not even a good way to do it. So let's just look at brass tacks. What's in the food you're eating? How many calories is it? What are the macros to it? And how does that add not only to the individual meal that you ate, but also across the meals of the day so that you accomplish your goals, which are generally, or most of the people I work with, a fat loss approach. So being in a calorie deficit and staying full and not being hungry. Nobody wants that or be around you. That's it for this episode, and catch you in the next one, which is an awesome example of a client success story. Chandler and I talk about what success looks like when he finally accepted middle gear mentality and dropped the all or nothing. And that's what is going to come up next for you. I hope that you enjoy his conversation. Dude lost 25 pounds in 100 days while having power out at his house for 7 days, while going to an EDM music festival for 4 or 5 days, while managing a job change, while moving, getting ready to move and prepare for that, while taking care of his father and some health issues and stuff. This is real life lived, and that's the most important part about what I ever do with anyone, is making sure that this is a transformative experience that goes beyond just, in a quotation, a diet, but actually gives you real lasting results and success for you to be successful with. That's it for this episode of Driven for Health. And also check out Aisha's 9 to 5 Wellness podcast. Links are in the show notes.